You said you went from hero to zero before you locked yourself, away for 3 months and got back to the basics. What did you mean? Where had you gone?
Well, for me, over a period of time, I was always drinking when I was in the military. It was just a thing, you used to go and do stuff, you used to come back, don't show emotion, just get on the lash. Did show emotion, shut up and get a beer down your neck. It was that kind of alpha male environment. That
Not a place for emotion, right? You said the military doesn't allow you to talk about your feelings, so you become the biggest pressure cooker. It's like the biggest boys club in the world, the hardest gang. You're not encouraged to talk about your emotions. So you do crazy hard stuff and then drink.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely, and that's you work hard, you play hard. And certainly that kind of mentality.
Such a nonsense phrase, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's nothing playful about poisoning yourself.
Exactly, but then you go on a 3-day binge. You work for a few weeks, couple of weeks, you go away and then you come back, 3-day binge. And then that's a very, that created my sort of program of how I used to drink, how I used to relate to drink. So by the time I actually left, I was doing a lot less work than I was in the military. So I was playing a lot harder. So those days, and I used to 3 days before I used to start going, your weeks disappearing away. And, it used to be this constant thing of drinking on you start on a Thursday night for a couple of we used to call them warmers in the butts. And that was a term that we used on the ranges about the bullets going into the butts anyway. Okay. I thought I'd better explain that. It could be something very different.
Yes.
And then Friday you're out, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday you just pulling yourself together. You're still pickled from the weekend, and you're not back together before, around Wednesday you start getting a bit of clarity. Right. Thursday comes around, back on again. And that was constant. And like we mentioned before, the sleep is the best weapon you've got. This whole, back in that day, sleep's for pussies, and, you got plenty of time to sleep when you're dead, do all this bravado. It's the biggest load of shit you've ever heard, isn't it? Because that is where you recuperate, regenerate, and it's so important we get that sleep. When you drink, you might think you sleep, you don't sleep. Your brain is still extremely active, and it's not actually sleep.
And that's why when you don't sleep, you feel hungover. And I'm working on my sleep, but I still have nights where I don't sleep, and I wake up, and I get flashbacks to being hungover. It feels the same to me. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's not a nice memory, is it?
No.
Yeah, so basically that was me, and I left the military, and I said, when I left the military, it was like, because I'm one of the first, I don't hear many people saying this, right, but when I left the Special Forces, I left because it didn't connect. I went from the Royal Marines, which was this dream of mine since I was about 14 years old, joined the Royal Marines, and then that wasn't enough, so I went for the Special Forces, got into the Special Forces, got there, and then realised, this isn't it. I don't know, something was missing, something didn't feel right. I didn't feel like I was in the right place, and I didn't know what that was.
Why? You wanted to push yourself, we'll talk about maybe why you wanted to do that later. But you wanted to be the best of the best. You wanted to push yourself. But then when you finally got there, like so many things we wish for, you didn't actually want to do it? You didn't find the work fulfilling?
I just didn't, the perception and reality.
Okay.
And for me, 14 years old, I created so much, we all are. I'm so creative when it comes to visualization that I find it very easy to do. And we all are, that's a point, before it's stripped out of us through the schooling system. But thank God I left at 14, so I had a fair bit of creativity. So for me, I'd made that vision so strong in my head, and it was like a constant thing for me. When I was at school, and I went, I can't be bothered with this anymore. This is what I'm doing. And I truly believe that was one aspect of it, but I have got another theory on it.
What the London Real Investment Club actually does for you, it gives you the keys to open that door to the inside deals. In the last 3 weeks, I've participated in 3 incredible deals: a layer 2 Bitcoin protocol, an incredible AI protocol. The deal flow is beyond what I expected. I don't think I've ever seen a model like this that just gives average folks the opportunity to be behind the deals, and that's exactly what we've done. Not only that, you get to hang out with Brian Rose every week, and for me, that was huge because I look at Brian as somebody who's not only an expert in the space, and I think is on the leading edge, but just the leading edge of thought with London Real and the work he's doing there. To anyone who's taking a serious look at this, I know it's a big decision. It was a big decision for me and my family, and it is one of the best decisions I've ever made. So I wish you all the best, and hope you come join us.
And that goes back, a lot of people know the story. My first memory of life on this planet was the Chimp. 10 years old.
We should talk about this.
Yeah, 10 years old, at the circus. Found myself in a place I shouldn't have been. They were just setting up, and found this baby chimp. And for me, I was so infatuated with chimps because of Tarzan. I was watching Tarzan every single day. It was the summer holidays. So that was like a little piece of Hollywood for me. I went into this, and this is enclosure, green grass. It was beautiful, just this chimp sat in the middle. And I was so compelled on my own, 10 years old, to go and see this chimp. Before I knew it, I stood over it. I looked down, it looked up at me with these beautiful big brown eyes. For a moment we connected. It sounds weird, I know. And then it picked something off the floor and it started passing it to me, and I was like, I'm not going to touch that, it's disgusting, right? But I didn't want to break the serenity of that moment. So I was taking the food from the chimp's hand. I was sliding it down my cheek, just throwing it over the side. And it was a beautiful moment. Time stood still. It was so beautiful. And it was just me, the chimp, blue sky, nothing else. But then the serenity of that moment was broken, almost like a fighter jet cutting through the sky. It was that severe when I heard this roar that I'll never forget. And in the shadows behind the chimp was something moving. That was clearly mummy or daddy, which was making its way to me at Mach 10, this massive 50-kilogram chimp. I didn't get a chance to weigh it, but it was fucking big.
Bigger than you.
Bigger than me, a lot bigger than me. And then, I couldn't move. I was the deer in the headlights, I couldn't move. And then this thing pounced, it must have been from 20 foot, over the chimp in front, landed on my chest, pinned me to the floor, and then the first fist, hammer fist, straight down into my chest, and it knocked everything, the solar plexus, knocked everything out of me, I had nothing left. And then it was fist after fist, and it was like a drummer in a rock band, I was the drum. And I just curled up. I just wanted it to end. Whatever was going to happen, I was just defending. I wasn't going to do anything but just defend myself. And in that moment, I then could start feeling, I felt the flesh being ripped from my arms. I realized this thing was then biting me. And I can remember looking through the cracks in my hands or through my fingers and seeing blood and everything. This thing was mental. And I went somewhere I never knew existed in that moment. I'd never been there before. I had no reason to go there. And I tapped into this inner potential. And I honestly heard this voice that said, "It doesn't end today, Ollie." And that just gave me enough courage to retaliate. And I managed to get my knee up to my chest, smashed out, connected with the chimp, knocked it to the floor, managed to scurry across the floor, and I was watching this chimp get back to its feet. It was pointless. This chimp was even angrier than ever, teeth were showing, and it came at me at Mach 20 now to finish me off. And just as it got to me, it was an inch from my face before the chain caught it. I managed to get up in an absolute state of shock, covered in blood, the whole place erupted. My brother finally turned up, bless him. And that was my first memory, my first proper memory of life on this planet. It was that moment. And I learned 3 things in that. As I look back, I learned 3 things which would help my journey moving forward. And that's, first of all, regardless of your situation, you always have a choice, always. Secondly, that was my first break point. And that's why my business is called Breakpoint, because it was stepping into short-term discomfort for long-term gain. It was short-term discomfort was fighting a 50-kilogram chimp as a 10-year-old. The long-term gain of that was the fact I'm here today to tell the story. But the third thing was tapping into that inner potential, knowing that we have got more than we're led to believe, a lot more. And I would then use that to get through Special Forces selection twice, and then from the brink of suicide later on in my life. It was tapping into that, knowing that this is not the best guide or mentor, especially when your life's on the line sometimes.
Would you consciously tap into that, or just deep down inside you think you knew you were capable of that?
Looking back, this is how I figured it out, okay? And like I said, I didn't do a debrief afterwards with my parents saying, this is what happened. But
they say always that trauma isn't what happens to you, it's the fact that you don't process it too, although maybe that was big enough. No, but this is another thing with trauma, and the fact I honestly believe we've got this system, this innate system that allows us to lock away the intimate trauma. So in that moment, you can lock away the intimate trauma and push it away, and that helps us. It's a tool because it helps us get over the short term. But it doesn't mean you can leave it locked away. Okay.
You're supposed to go back to it.
Okay.
Because us being us, we don't go back to it, and I never went back to it, and that was the meaning for the ayahuasca.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary,
It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.